Good evening and welcome to the show Men Only, the show for men by men and about issues concerning men. Things we think about, things that disturb us, things that encourage us, things that build us. Tonight we're going to be having a discussion about unpacking the secrets of women. And by the way, I'm not supposed to be the one who was supposed to be on the interviewing table today. Gerald Bitok was supposed to be here, but he got some other engagements. Magnus MG is also not available with us tonight. And so it's just me on this particular discussion, as well as my good friend and author, Jacob Aliet. He has 14 books to his name, 3 by the same title, Unplugged. I think they're the most controversial and the ones making you the most money. Isn't it, Jacob?
Yes. They're doing pretty well.
They're doing pretty well.
Yeah, they're doing pretty well. So I'm happy about the reception that they've got from the market, particularly from men, and the conversations they've created. And I think just the kind of avenue that they've created, particularly for men, because men have been silenced for very long. And for the first time, we are finding a situation where men are coming together and men are actually able to hold their position in conversations.
Yeah, this particular topic was your brainchild. And you know, it's not just controversial, it also got me into trouble. Hata mimi nilikaangwa. Last week in a corner somewhere, I was going through the motions as well. Okay. And I realized it's not easy to be you or to be in your shoes.
Me, I've had a lot of fun, by the way. Yeah? So, what most guys don't know is that writing a book like this, like Unplugged, it took a lot in terms of just being ready to face the backlash, the pushback, the controversy, and the kind of hate and sign language. I've been dealing with it from 2022. So now we're in 2024. There's nothing new under the sun for me.
Yeah. Just tossing the balls away.
Yes.
Let me ask you, just in the lead up to this week, what has stood out for you in terms of things you've just seen that are trending, that are news?
Yeah, what I've seen, I had a very good session with Lynn Ngugi. We had an interview with her, a long interview, more than an hour. And what I've seen is that many women and even men, they think that when you don't agree with the kind of misleading messages that women get, then it means that you're either bitter or you are anti-women and so on. Many women are surprised that I actually have a wife and we have a good relationship. And it upsets some of them because...
That kuna mtu anakupenda.
Yes, and they thought that the position I take is because either I'm bitter or I'm not loved and so on. And they think that when you say that a man should not treat his woman like a queen, it means he should either mistreat her or he should look down on her and so on. But what people need to realize that we're just human beings. At the end of the day, we should respect each other. And normally the people who tell you that you should treat a woman like a queen, they don't also tell the women how they should behave in order to deserve that queen treatment. They just told a woman to be treated like a queen, even if she's misbehaving, even if she's mannerless, even if she has not deserved it, she should be treated like a queen.
But that definition seems to mean different things to different people.
Very, very true. But in general, what it means for most men is that you're supposed to prioritize that woman's needs over your own. You're supposed to listen to her. Like if there's a decision to be made, you listen to her. You treat her basically like a subject of a queen, not like a king. You're treating her like she is your queen. You know, in the olden days, and this is something we even see when people approach the people like the Pope and so on. People will kneel before the queen, kiss her finger, and one of the ways of expressing loyalty to the queen was your willingness to die for her. That means your willingness to sacrifice everything, including your own life, so that the queen can be comfortable and so that the queen can survive. So what most men do when they talk about treating a woman like a queen, and this is something we have seen, you'll find a man is even wearing torn clothes, but his wife, he spends all his money pampering his wife, making sure she has the makeup, pesa salon, and so on. But him himself is leading a very horrible life because now he's been told that that's what you need to do in order to get the love of a woman. So we are telling guys, put yourself first. You don't need to treat her like a queen. Treat her like a human being. Treat her like your wife if you're married. And a wife is a role. A husband is a role. Play your role. Let her play her role. this business of treating her like a queen is a Western concept, and often it backfires.
Yeah, and this was part of the excerpt from that show that you had with Lynn, yes?
Yeah.
What else stood out for you this week?
Yeah, the other thing that stood out for me, there was that story about a gym in Kiambu. I don't remember the name of the gym, but there was a case about they found that they were recording people in the showers or in the bathroom. I found that to be very, very weird. So I saw some people trying to make some content out of it. I never got to see the details of it, but I thought unless the cameras are really hidden, I thought that was a very weird story. I didn't get time to go through it. And then, of course, the story of DJ Mfalme, which also I've not properly understood. Maybe we'll get into it.
Yeah. But that particular story, this last one, okay, the other one, I don't, the issue of Sijui, putting cameras, I also don't quite get it. I think it's in the same breath, I don't get the way people will be, doing their badminton and having a video. And somehow Sijui it leaks. I always wonder, do they watch it later or is it for kicks? I don't get that part. But this particular last story, because of the road rage factor, and I know they'll give us the details, that also caught my eye quite a bit, and I think for many of us, because when it comes to issues of road rage, it has affected all of us at some point. You've been mad at someone because of the way they have driven, the way they've geared the lane or what they have done, and sometimes it's been, it can lead to something else. I'll tell you this. Some time ago, about a year ago, so I was driving on Lower Kabete Road, and there was this water truck that was behind me. And this guy kept following me so closely every time. There are a lot of bumps as you go towards the Kabete side. And he tried to overtake me up a hill, but of course, I had like a small car size of Academia like this. And he was having difficulty overtaking. So he began to honk and put his lights on, and he got pissed off. When we got to a place where he could overtake, I let him overtake. But you know what he did? He went right beside me and swung right into my lane. Almost putting me in the ditch. There was a road right on the left-hand side where I was just about to, swerve into. That road leading up that road. Because when he swerved in and didn't put in, guess what he did? He put the truck in reverse.
Oh.
So I entered that road.
Okay.
I was horrified to find that he followed me down that road. Luckily for both of us, we ended up at a police station, not too far away from that barabara. I swung in and the guy just took off.
Oh, so
but it makes me wonder, what was he going to do? And why would people be so annoyed over something that has just happened over the road, but it's happening every day? And it could easily put a lot of us in a lot of trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, personally...
And it's affecting guys. What's really the thing?
I think it affects both genders. My experience, I've seen it, women having road rage and also men having road rage.
Not as much, honestly speaking.
In general, men are normally more aggressive compared to women. So I would expect actually men also to have more road rage than women. Although I've experienced it in both genders. I think it's a topic that is very relevant to masculinity because I've also seen it, and maybe this touches or may not touch to the DJ Mfalme case. I've seen cases of, because I know that there was a road rage, I think along Karen or Langata Road, where a man pulled a gun on another, and I think there was even some shooting, but it was just a road rage incident.
Yeah.
And
there was even one of Obel. You remember Obel shot someone?
Professor Obel. Yes, he shot someone. Yeah. So generally, me as a man, what I tell guys, the problem we have as men is sometimes you want to prove that you are a man. You want to prove that you are tough and so on. And in many cases, it puts you in situations that you don't really need to get into. Like if you're dealing with a drunk fellow who is disorderly, sometimes you feel you need to discipline them. But me, I normally tell guys, me speak anagi na walevi. I give drunk people a lot of latitude because unaweza chapa mtu kofi and he just dies. So normally it is best to just avoid. If you can de-escalate. Don't get into a fight or an altercation with someone unless you feel your life is in danger. Most of the times it is not worth it because people are stressed. You can find someone is on drugs, he's very aggravated. It's got nothing to do with you. It's just that you're the nearest human being to them. So if you have a situation where you can de-escalate issues, I tell guys, try to de-escalate. And people also need to find ways of managing their problems or their stresses. Otherwise, it's going to blow up at the inopportune time and you end up in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it's more likely to go to get, more escalated if there's a presence of a female, let's say me and you.
Absolutely. If there's a woman involved, I think we remember that case that involved those celebrity couples and the CCTV I won't mention the name of the hotel, along Mombasa Road. 3 a.m., women were involved. They vandalized some vehicles and so on and so forth. And I think Kibe really spoke about it for a long time. He replayed the videos that actually Kibe showed that the gentlemen who are involved actually did not have an issue. It's the women who are escalating that conflict. And then they drag in the guys into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So guys, I have to be very careful. And this is a topic I've talked about in Unplugged, where many men die just because they wanted to prove something to their women, or because of this, we call it the savior schema. It is something that is admired in men. Where
there's a name for it, kumbe.
Yeah, it's called a savior schema. Like you see a woman in distress. We normally call them damsel in distress.
Yeah.
Like you're getting out of a club, and then you see a man is slapping a woman outside the club. So there was a story of a guy who witnessed that. So he wanted to go home, but he realized this guy is slapping this woman and the woman is crying. So what this guy did, he tried to tell this guy, why are you doing this? Don't need to do this, and so on. Instead of calling the police, he decided to intervene. He wanted to save this woman. So this guy, there was actually a fight between a boyfriend and a girlfriend. Unfortunately for this guy, this boyfriend had a gun. He pulled his gun and shot this guy dead. So him and the girlfriend, they just got into the car and they drove off. So I normally tell guys, if you see there's a problem, don't be a hero. You're not the police. Just call the police. Don't get involved. That's savior schema. And it's part of simping. It makes many men die.
But what if it's happening in your neighborhood? Like, it's your next door neighbor.
It doesn't matter. You know the police.
Are you telling guys to walk away and let my mouth be thumped to?
Yes, absolutely. Any day. Call the police. Call the police. Because if you're going to die there.
These police of ours will come in the morning.
Nobody cares. That's not your problem. It is not your problem. Especially when you find that it is a woman that is involved and a man, either the husband and so on. And that Babyface sang about it. How long? You remember that song? He was talking about the abuse of a woman. Call the police. Call the police. You're not in law enforcement. You're not trained to break up fights. You're not trained to deal with that kind of a situation. So just call the police. Don't get involved. You could die. People have died because of conflicts they should not have gotten involved with, and also because of the savior schema. Because most times, it's the male instinct to save a woman that makes guys get involved. So it's something that we need to deal with, and guys need to be very aware of what is happening.
Yeah. If you're listening, please note that you can always send your questions, comments right on the YouTube channel. If you're in YouTube, if you're on Facebook, same thing. We'll read all comments. We'll get to all questions. We'll try and hash them out here in the time that we have. And I'm sure that will, create quite some reaction. You're very sensitive. Mamas will think, you don't care.
Yeah, it is true. But, we have to learn from the experiences.
It's true. Some guys have walked into, a situation and it has just turned deadly on them, and they were trying to be just a nice person.
Yeah. When I was growing up, I grew up in the rural area.
Yeah.
I know of my age mates who died. They were just stabbed, just stabbed in the belly because you're fighting over a girl, or because a girl is crying and some guys are pulling her away. Maybe there's going to be some sexual assault involved. And then you just get stabbed and then you die.
But do you think that sort of ends up dehumanizing us in some way? Like, for example, I'll tell you, sort of a similar thing. Many years ago, I saw someone get knocked hapo karibu na country bus. They were knocked by another vehicle right in front of me, and that vehicle took off. And we decided, I was with a colleague, we decided to, help the guy who was knocked. Because he was right there, he was bleeding, he was unconscious. We took him to Kenyatta. It was around 2 p.m. Where?
The case turned on.
By the time we were getting to the whole thing of he's been admitted, and now we want to leave the hospital. Cop stopped us. How do we know you're not the guys? Proving that was such a Herculean task. It wasted practically the next 3 days of ours. Until you reach a point, you tell yourself, you see someone, you want to help, but you remember that incident and you say, I don't know. You feel like such things it removes the humanity from us. The ability to help each other will be now tossed out of the window, and we'll end up just becoming like, animals. You do whatever you want to do in your own space, so long as it has not affected mine. Go ahead, shoot your kids, kill your wife, do whatever you want to do.
If it's about accidents, if you can save, because I also know guys, I know that there's a case of someone who saved someone who was drowning. They pulled them out of the water, and then they did the CPR on them. Okay, so they were pushing the chest when you're doing the CPR and so on. It was a woman. The woman recovered fully, and then she sued this person because she had some broken ribs. So this guy now had to pay just because they saved this woman. I actually saw a story that was being told on the Ikonini podcast where someone was walking home in the rural area, in the village somewhere. And as he was walking home, it's a wooded area. There are some trees and bushes all over. And as he was passing somewhere, he had some groans, like someone is groaning. So when he turned, he saw that someone actually was trying to take his own life. He was on a tree. He was hanging himself. So what this guy did, he waited because when before they die, they're kicking very violently. He waited for this guy to stop kicking. Then he went and cut him down. Okay. So after a while, this guy regained consciousness and he was okay. This guy became his permanent enemy because now he was saying he's the one who stopped him from dying. This guy actually wanted to die. So it's like he wanted to put himself out of his misery. But because this guy saved him now, anasema huu anataka niteseke. Hata angeniacha nikufe. Huu ndio amefanya nateseka hivi. So when it comes to men, because you don't have the background, if there is a conflict involving a woman and a man, call the police. Don't get involved. You could be part of a collateral damage in a crime of passion.
Paulo Nzioki is already asking you, what if it's your sister?
If it's your sister, that means you probably have more information about the background of this particular conflict. So if you have the background of the particular conflict, that is fine. And it also means you know your sister better. Most of these guys, you don't even know this woman. There's something called reactive abuse, for example. You don't know why these guys are fighting. You don't know how long they have been fighting. You don't know whether they are sober, whether they are not sober, and you're getting in between. So it's normally ill-advised. You're not the government, you're not the police. Call the police.
Not the government, not the police. Let me move to the topic of the day, which is this unpacking secrets. This thing has brought us a lot of problems, Aliet.
Yeah.
Women are saying, what do we know about, women's secrets? And I was trying to imagine that, it's from the perspective of teaching men, not really, or speaking to men about men's issues and our way of seeing things, and not really about the secrets of women. I mean, you dissect, what does this topic mean?
This topic, it's a very, very important topic. And I think women it has got their attention because, always the word has been out there that women normally are able to cheat without men knowing. And when a man cheats, he changes his behavior, and they're normally discovered very fast. And they normally say that when you find out that a woman is cheating, it's because she wants you to find out. And women also have elevated themselves in terms of, there's this thing called the feminine mystique. Women normally feel that, first of all, they have this thing they call an instinct. They normally say women have instincts and they can sense things. But we normally ask them, if women can sense things and their instincts are so strong, how come their instincts never tell them the kind of men that they should have children with? Because there are so many single mothers. And normally it is, when you ask them, it's because they tell you this guy was not like this before, or I was too young, I did not understand what I was getting into. Where are your instincts when you're sleeping with this man? So this particular topic is supposed to educate men about women, but particularly about female nature. Because many men are raised, the first person that a man actually bonds with is his mother. And the first person who actually shows him love is normally his mother. And normally what happens with men is when they become adults and they start getting involved with other women, they sort of transfer this image of how their mother used to treat them. And the noble image of their mother is what they transfer on the women they got involved with. And this is why many men, they fail paternity tests. They think that the women they marry are as honorable as their own mothers. Okay? They don't imagine that these women they marry can cheat on them. They don't imagine that a woman can actually marry you because of your money. They don't imagine that women can also cheat just as much as men do. You know, when you grow up, you're told men are dogs, men are naturally polygamous, men cheat. Nobody talks about women. So we are going to talk about women today. Yeah.
With a view of educating men.
Yes.
So unpacking the secrets. Secret number one is what you said is about does the modern woman need a man? You know, I saw this thing. I think I even shared it with you. I saw this thing on TikTok, and it was being done in Australia, where a gentleman was walking around talking to these ladies, and men, asking the ladies whether they need men, asking the men whether they need ladies. And you saw by then 100% of the women said, we don't need men.
Yeah. Actually, it's good you've brought that one up.
You know, and the men, it was it was us who was saying we need them.
Yes. It is good you brought that up. That was not the first secret, but we'll start with that. Because the independent black woman ideology and movement, right now in the States, the young girls are being told, you don't need a man. You can freeze your eggs, pursue your career, and when you're old, you can now get that egg fertilized and raise a very healthy child. You don't need to prioritize a man. So that is one thing that women are being told. The second thing women are being told is that your sexuality is evergreen. It means that the sexual market value that you have as a woman when you're 25, it's still the same when you're 45 and when you're 60, which is completely false. And you find women in SYS. I'm not going to say what SYS means. I hope you know what it means. Okay?
That's my friend's platform.
SYS. You find the women shooting their shot. SYS means shoot their shot. Yeah. So you find a woman with 3 kids, she's in her 40s and all that. She's making crazy demands. She wants a man who is financially stable. This man is supposed to be tall. This man is supposed to be able to hold a good conversation. This man is supposed to be able to take her to travel, nice places. They want to go and have fun and all that. Now you wonder, this woman, and this is what we normally call delusions. Why would a man who has all those qualities want a woman like you? That is a question that, like Kevin Samuels used to ask, why would he want that? Because you're bringing a lot of garbage. You've not even worked on yourself, okay? You've not worked on yourself in terms of your mental health, in terms of the decisions you've made in the past, because the decisions you make are what actually shape your future. You make poor decisions, then you expect a man to just jump on board with your poor decisions and be part of them. So that's part of the delusions that women actually are being fed. And also the sort of, I don't know how to call it hypocrisy, but the disingenuousness that is involved. Let me tell you, and I spoke about this in my interview. I have a group of WhatsApp for men, more than 600 guys, where we talk about intersexual dynamics, we talk about success, we talk about money, fitness, diet, and so on. And I've had ladies who are also in similar groups, women who are in their late 30s and 40s, who are, most of them are single or divorced, or rather they're divorced or they've never married. But these women are looking for men. The group of guys that I have, there is no day that these guys have told me, by the way, why don't we have an arrangement where we can also have a meeting with single women so that we can have relationships with them. They're not interested at all. But women, even if you look at...
are you sure they're not interested, or maybe because they're coach, in some ways they don't want to approach you particularly? You're the unplugged guy. It's a very difficult thing to tell you.
That's a good point. But
you would smack it right out of the door.
You see what? No, I wouldn't. I'm not anti-relationships. I wouldn't. I'm not anti-relationships. And in any case, what normally happens is that most of these guys, they're already having access to casual relationships, okay? But there are men who don't see relationships in the same way because of what they've gone through. Like they've been divorced, they've gone through some sort of breakups and so on. So they don't want to be invested in these relationships in any long-term basis. But you find these women who are shooting their shots, they still want romance. Actually, there's a Facebook page that is called Romance After 40 or Love After 40, something like that. So you find that the women will be telling you they don't need a man, but they are actually actively looking for men. That's why they have that page, SYS. They're always shooting their shots. So this is one of the things that the lies that women tell. Either they tell themselves or they tell each other that they don't need a man.
Let me ask you, when it comes to this issue of financial stability, you want a financially stable person. What really, when you have your group, okay, tell me from the concept of your group in terms of when you're talking to men, what you mean by financial stability and what it means to me when looking for men. What is this financial stability men are supposed to be having? How do you know you are financially stable?
Oh, as a man?
Yes.
Oh, as a man, it's very easy because Robert Kiyosaki broke it down very well. There's something that is called the 4 quadrants. The lowest level is a man who is employed, where you have a job and you have a salary. Okay? That's the first level of the quadrant. The second level is where you are self-employed, where now you are the boss, but the business you are running needs you to be there. Okay? That is the second level of the quadrant. Now we are moving towards now what we call financial freedom or financial independence. So first is employed, then self-employed, and then the third one is where you have a business that is running. Okay? So it's like you're a director or you're a shareholder, you have a business, you've employed people who are working for you and they're bringing you your money. That is the third level. But the ideal one is where now your money is working for you. You have passive income. So where you've bought, you either have stocks or you have assets that are just generating money. You don't have to work. You don't have to supervise. You just have to wait for a certain period of time and the money is coming in. So the person who has actually financial freedom or financial independence is a person who is in that 4th quadrant, the person who is having their money working for them. So people, but you find...
But that's usually the goal, not the...
Yeah, that is the goal.
Not the actuality, actually.
That is the goal. So it's normally levels. So there is levels to it. But in general, you need to be able to make your ends meet for a good period of time. And we normally say that if you're financially stable, it also means that if your main source of income is cut off, you should be able to survive at least for 6 months without going into financial distress. Yeah, that is what it means to be financially stable.
When we find women who say, I'm financially stable, I'm looking for a financially stable guy, more often than not, it's the application of that financial stability on the man is much, much higher.
It's higher. Actually, when a woman says she's financially stable, it doesn't mean much. It generally does not mean much because, and this is something we've discussed before, a woman who is earning 50,000 per month in terms of her salary will conduct herself like a man who is earning 400,000. You will not see the difference in terms of the ego, in terms of how they present themselves, in terms of how they throw their weight around. You would think they're earning so much. In terms of even the expectations from their partner, it's going to be much, much higher. So, and also it goes together with hypergamy. This woman who is earning 50K will probably want someone who is earning 100K, 120, 150, and so on and so forth. But a man who is earning the same amount will actually tell you that he's broke. He doesn't have any money. So that is also something to figure out. But also, it is also important to remember, and this is something we will talk about, the way a woman approaches a relationship. When they're talking about a financially stable man, many women, even when they say shooting their shots, they don't want men who are stingy. Okay? If you know someone who was very rich like Chris Kirubi, and even most millionaires, they don't throw their money around. The way to get rich most of the times is by being stingy. Being stingy just means being financially disciplined. But that's a characteristic that many women treat like it's a very bad thing. They don't want a stingy man, in quotes. They shame you actually when you're not willing to spend your money frivolously. But many people who are financial gurus, they tell you, you have to be frugal. You have to be financially disciplined. Don't spend out of your budget. So most of these women who, when they're saying they want a man who is willing to spend on themselves, so they call the baby girl treatment. They basically want you to become careless with your finances, which at the end of the day is to your downfall. And we are going to talk about that. What happens when now you're broke? You are financially disciplined. She wants baby girl treatment. You take her to Dubai. You buy her jewelry. You buy her all sorts of things. Then your money runs out. What happens then?
You're expected to be wise. You should have kept something.
Exactly. They turn it on you.
You should have kept something in the tanks. Ulikuwa unajua.
Yes.
Tunarudi.
Yes. So that's what we are going to talk about.
Right. So let's get to your secrets.
So the secrets, of course, are very many, but we're just going to discuss a few of them. And this is something that many men don't know. The first secret is that women get bored very fast, especially from a sexual perspective. They get bored very, very fast. So in terms of a relationship, many men, when they're having one regular sexual partner, it declines, the sexual interest declines over time, slowly. But for women, it tanks immediately, like it crashes, it's just a crash, okay? She loses interest completely in this particular man. And this is why you find that many women, if you find these couples where the men are in swingers parties, okay, where you find these couples, they're exchanging sexual partners, normally it's the women who propose the idea to the men. Even when it comes to, this is something you mentioned earlier, you wonder why people record themselves when they're engaging in this behavior. Many times it is women who propose that, why don't we record this? Because they have this exhibitionist kind of need. They want to see themselves engaged in that kind of act. And it is because also women outstrip men in terms of being kinky in the bedroom. Many men are satisfied with their routine kind of activity, but women want a lot of variety and wild things and so on. The movie 50 Shades of Grey, it became one of the highest grossing movies because of what we call the traditional conservative women. The women that go to church, that are very traditional. You know, 50 Shades of Grey had a lot of BDSM, a lot of bondage, and a lot of control, where there is intercourse involving a very powerful man dominating a woman. So you find these are some of the kind of fantasies that women actually have. So many men need to know that the woman that you're having and the kind of relationship you're having, you have to be aware that these women, most of the times, they get bored very, very fast. And that is why in many cases, they sort of have all these people who are friend-zoned, okay?
Women would argue that it's men who gets bored very, very fast.
Okay, now, I think that one now is a matter of understanding the intersexual dynamics. The sexual imperatives for men is to spread their seeds. So spreading their seeds means biologically they are wired to look for opportunities to spread those seeds. And that is why men tend to cheat.
So by opportunities, you mean?
Women, yeah. So it's not because they're bored. It's not because they're looking for variety. It's because they're looking for opportunity. So that is what happens with men. But women do it because of boredom. Although this boredom also could be also because innately they're looking for an alpha. They're looking for the man who is going to quell all their restlessness. And that is what we call the alpha.
You're sending cold chills down married people everywhere.
Yes, they should have the cold chills. Because you see, the thing is these same married people are the ones who fail paternity tests. You know, when out of the men who suspect that the children that they have raised are not theirs, and then they ask for paternity tests, 30% of them fail. Now imagine the ones who are oblivious, who are so busy chasing money, who don't have situational awareness, who have never listened to people like me, they've never read Unplugged. So it's a majority. Many men raise kids who are not theirs because they don't have the kind of information that we're actually giving guys now. They have been comfortable. They think the women they marry are like their mothers. They ennoble these women. They don't understand female nature. So once you understand female nature, then you become aware about these kinds of things.
Yeah. And when you do that, let's assume I'm a guy who was totally unaware. And I did pick up, the copies of your book and I read, and suddenly I am so, I'm getting all this situational awareness, and I'm discovering there are these things I did not know about this woman that I married, and I did not know about how the dynamics of being a man is like, I didn't have my frame intact and all that. What's my next step, really?
Your next step depends on your situation. I have guys, I have women who are on the verge of getting divorced because they felt that their men were not taking the burden of performance. The guy is at home, he's jobless, he's not working, he's always complaining about how tough life is, and these women get tired. And then someone tells him, by the way, mnunulie hiyo kitabu inaitwa Unplugged. I have women who've written reviews saying that they bought this guy the book and he changed, and they thank me for saving their marriages. There are also guys who are in situations where the guy is planning a wedding and is planning to marry a woman who has a lot of red flags. But he sees the flags. Most times, guys think that maybe they'll change the woman they are marrying, or they think that marriage will make them stop behaving in a certain way. Yeah. When they read Unplugged, they realize I'm on the wrong path. They break up, they cancel the wedding. So, and there are also guys who are already married and they read Unplugged and they realize I'm in an exploitative relationship and this is a train wreck. There's no way I'm going to rescue this. And they end up getting divorced. So it depends on your situation. The important thing, I think, is about making a decision from an informed place. You need to be aware about all these things, because if you're not aware, many times, because we've also known cases of guys who they realize very, very late, like your kids are in their 20s. That's when you realize these kids are not yours. And some guys take it very hard. They end up taking their own lives. So the sooner you know, the better. And if you decide to live with it, at least you'll be making the decision from a point of knowledge.
Yeah. The whole thing about, putting self first, and it's out there. Here also, we've been talking about it mostly as a man in forums like this one, in your book. Where do you draw the line between putting yourself first and, sheer selfishness?
Sheer selfishness. Okay. The thing is, men have, the way men have been designed, there's something that is called abnegation or sacrifice, basically sacrifice. You see, men are idealistic. For example, men are people who can say that we are fighting for democracy. Democracy is something that does not even exist, it's just an idea. And they say that these people are opposing democracy, so they are threatening our life. Or men can actually decide that we have this particular God, and this God is the one who created the universe. And these people have refused to acknowledge that this is our God and this is the only God.
So let's deal with them.
They go to war and they die. They're dying because of an idea. Men can actually decide that this is a boundary, this is our country, and that is not our country. And these people, if they come to our country, we should fight and they kill each other. So in the same way also, men have also died for women and children. And we have so many cases where a man is working and his wife tells him that the only place we can take these kids for school is this particular school, maybe because our friends take kids to that school. And this man is going to struggle to pay these school fees, even take loans, educate these kids. By the time he's retiring, he has nothing. Okay? No savings for himself and so on. These kids go on and graduate, and now because this man is so needy, always asking for help, they shut him off. And in most cases, the support is transferred to the mother. So when we're saying put yourself first, we're telling men to think long term. And ultimately, unless a man is having cases of whether he's abusing substance, whether he's alcoholic and so on, in many cases, the needs of men are very, very few. Unless you are an addict, either you are gambling or you're into drugs and so on. Many men are normally able to just take care of their needs, and the surplus, they take care of their families. So putting yourself first normally means take care of your health, okay? Think about your health. Don't allow yourself to get out of shape or to get addicted or to get into activities that are going to endanger yourself. Like check your blood pressure, check your weight. If you have diabetes, check your sugar and so on and so forth. Then invest in the future, because these kids will grow up and they're going to move on. What is going to happen to you when you're no longer working, when you're no longer financially productive? You need to think about that. And also, when you're dealing with your wife or your woman, you need to think about if she's telling you now that we need to go to Dubai, and this is going to cost you this amount of money, and you want to take a bank loan or you want to borrow money. Why are you doing that? How is it going to benefit you? What are the returns on investment? Those are the kind of questions you need to think about when you say put yourself first. Don't do something to please your partner that is going to hurt you or that is going to put you into financial distress. That is what it means. It also means, even for your kids, it is the same thing. Don't do so much for them that you have nothing left for yourself.
Yeah.
Because you only have yourself.
And that makes sense, Jacob. But because we also hear these stories, of the man spent time, he was always paying school fees, then the kids went to university, then they went to, they went abroad, and then mama went to take care of the babies abroad, and dude is alone. So he's here, he's got his sicknesses, no one is taking him. People would say, prepare yourself to be alone. But and I do agree that men must keep that in mind, because even in terms of investment, many women along the way would begin to have money they have put away. They're in circles, they're in things, and you find a guy is not in all those things. He's imagining that mama will chunga him because she's putting circle for us, and then it turns out that her money is her money eventually, and then you get this shock. But where do you that's why I'm asking. On that part, it's totally understandable. But how do you prevent the gentleman from going overboard and just turning into utterly selfish people who just do not take care of anything because they are putting themselves first and they're looking at their future?
It's a good question, but it's a very simple question. Many times we have a conscience. This is something that all human beings have. And I think in philosophy, it's what's called moral agency. Any human being, when they do something wrong, they are capable of knowing that hapa nimekosea watoto ama nimekosea huyu mama. Your conscience is going to disturb you. Your conscience is not going to move along peacefully when you're doing something that is wrong. So ultimately, you will be able to tell whether this is what you're doing is wrong or whether what you're doing is right. So you have to defer to your own judgment. At the end of the day, you as a man, it is your life. It is your life, it is your family, it is your wife, and you have to be able to make that particular decision, whether what you're doing is right and what is wrong. Because what we normally say, the job of a man, at least if you're reading Unplugged, if it's someone who is listening to me, we talk about the 3 P's, okay? Protection, provisioning, and parental investment. You're not going to be, so you need to provide for your family. You have to provide for your family as a man. You also have to invest as a parent for your children. That means being a present father, being able to provide the leadership in that particular family and protect them from all harm that they will actually face in your absence. So you have to provide all those, and then you also have to take care of yourself. So you have to spare something for yourself. If you're living a lifestyle such that at the end of the month there's nothing that is spared for you, it means you're living beyond your means. So you have to calibrate properly. You should never be in a situation where you don't save anything for yourself. Yeah.
Difficult place to be. All right.
The second secret that many women keep, and I think this one is, it may surprise many men and women who are going to really resist this, is that
imekuja disclaimer kali.
women always monkey branch. Monkey branching means that when a woman breaks up with a man, okay, the man she normally moves to next is a man who they already had something before this relationship ended. Women don't start from scratch. Okay? And that's why women keep men in the friend zone. They always have people in the friend zone. Some random guys saying good night. Some random guys.
Potential spare tire.
Yeah, there's potential spare tires. The guys who do them favors. When she has some trouble, this guy is always willing to help or to offer some sort of assistance.
And men hate those guys.
Pardon?
I'm saying men really hate those guys.
Yeah, men hate those guys. Those are guys who are friend zoned. And women really will tell you that there's nothing wrong with the man being in the friend zone. You don't have to have sex and it is okay and so on and so forth. But generally what happens, it's like a pool of potential mates that these women keep. So when her relationship is in trouble, maybe she's in a relationship or a marriage and the husband starts giving her trouble, she'll pick one of these guys is the one she's going to open up to. She'll tell him, this guy did this guy did that. Why did he do that? Why is he doing that? He has such a good wife. Some men are so ungrateful. Why is he doing this? This is a guy who is going to offer a listening ear, and normally some attachment develops in the process. So by the time you're breaking up with her, there's some place they'll have reached with this particular guy. So, and I think we also have a certain director who broke up with a certain actress, and this is the public domain. And people are making a lot of noise that this actress moved on so fast. But this is just monkey branching. It just goes to prove that monkey branching actually is an idea that is actually real and it is happening. So it is what makes many women also divorce. You know, the divorce rates, at least in the West, women are filed for divorce 70 to 80% of the time. And they do this because they want to monkey branch to the next guy before their sexual agency fully decays. So they want to make sure they have the best man. Every woman always wants to make sure she has the best man. And sometimes if there's no way of exiting this current relationship, that next best man is normally put on the friend zone.
But usually that doesn't really work out because I'm assuming that next best man is not exactly an alpha male. If he's, mostly at beck and call, available, there's a good chance he's a bit of a sissy.
Now, that's a good point. Remember, women's the sexual strategy is dualistic. Hypergamy is dualistic. And in many cases, when you find these guys who have, the guy has a good job, he's a church-going fellow, very well respected in the community. He's probably a leader in his workplace. He's a manager or a mid-level manager or some CEO of some sort. Mm-hmm. When the women cheat on them, normally you'll find it's not even like a guy who is necessarily richer than him. It's probably just some guy who is running a cyber cafe or some border fellow with swag or it doesn't need to be someone who really has a lot of money. It's normally now what we call a chad. The guy just needs to be physically, he has all the attributes of an alpha. It could be a guy who is financially is not very good, but he's confident, he's strong, he's able to perform very well horizontally. And he does not prioritize the needs of this woman. He prioritizes his own needs. So he has the alpha qualities, and that's what makes him desirable to the woman. So that is what happens. So these are the kind of guys who can be this in the friend zone. But sometimes this guy can also be a beta, but he waits for the day when she's going to be very weak. Because women are also emotional beings. She could actually be very mad at her partner that particular day. And this guy takes advantage and she's in a compromised situation and he goes the distance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it could be like it's so in as far as you say in terms of the secrets, then what should guys do? Should you make sure that such fellows are, swatted away before they have that opportunity?
Yes, as much as possible. And this is why it's normally not a good idea for a woman to have male friends. Because male friends only want one thing. So women will tell you, oh, this guy is...
Chris Rock said that at some point.
Yeah.
He said that every friend of a woman is potentially, he's just waiting for the day. It's just that you hajakuwa offered.
Yes, absolutely. That is the truth.
Most
of those guys just want to hit it. Opportunity hawajapata. So they're waiting. They're just hanging around waiting. It's like, actually, the analogy that is normally given is very good. Is normally this one. You have parked your very nice car down at a street, down street Nairobi. Mm-hmm. This car has an alarm system. All the doors are locked and it is secure. However, there are guys who are running, they're around it, they're touching it, they're trying to open the door. The door, of course, they're finding it is locked. Now, a woman who has male friends is exactly like that car. At some point, someone will break in. You're better off having that car where these possible vandals cannot touch it.
So as a guy, what should you do then? When you say they should not have...
As a guy, you have boundaries. You should have boundaries. Tell her, I don't want you to have close male friends. You can have girlfriends, but not male friends. Those are the boundaries. So you'll be told, of course, that you're projecting insecurity and so on. The important thing is just not to make it an issue that you keep talking about again and again. Once you've said it once, the rest is you make a decision. If she keeps these male friends around her, now you make a decision. But don't make it something that you're complaining about or you become aggressive or you become quarrelsome about it. If she keeps them around, it means that she feels you're not the most viable man for her.
What kind of symptoms should I look out for? Like in terms of, if it's you, Aliet, and maybe I'm a classmate to your wife, are the symptoms that I can invite hii party, watoto nimekuja, next to the other time again I've come. What symptoms am I looking for?
She should never invite them for any party. If that one happens, that one you already done. She should not invite her male friends to a party. That one there's no discussion. She should never invite her male friends to any party. She can only invite her girlfriends. And do you also invite your jamas? But you cannot have a situation where she's inviting men for parties. That cannot happen. That cannot happen. The kind of phone calls she's going to have with them around you, the way she spends time, if she's going out clubbing, if she's spending time with men, that is a problem. Those men are going to...
This brings in the issue of the ex. There are people, they are very good. They have very good relationships with their exes. Ilisha, but we're just good friends. We get along so well. Once in a while we touch base. How are you doing? How are the kids? And nothing is happening. I know the husband. She knows my wife. What would you say?
Touching base means what? On phone or physically? You have meet over coffee?
Yeah. Well, saa zingine maybe your offices are near each other. Hey, sasa mambo nini?
No. If you are having dates, that is something else. Because you see,
would you define that as that? Because you see, there are those who say they would have to be in a situation where they would meet them. They haven't really gone out for the date, but they are good friends with the ex. If they met, for example, and they were both in a seminar somewhere in Mombasa, was he ongeleshani?
That's okay. If you meet accidentally, that is okay. But if you're planning dates, that is not okay. You can be friendly with your exes because people break up for different reasons. It doesn't mean you have to be enemies. But a situation where you are planning maybe regular meetups, or whether you are planning dates now, that is going to be a problem. Or if you're speaking regularly, that is also a problem. Yeah.
So hack it completely out.
Yeah, that one should be completely out. So for women, that is something that guys have to be remember because, and it doesn't mean women are bad people. It just means women have evolved to always have plan B. Because in our evolutionary past, women have lost their men through wars, men who go through hunting trips. Men... in terms of mortality, the kind of activities men engage in to provide for their families, many of them are dangerous. Provisioning and protection comes with a lot of risk. So women have also evolved to be able to move on or to monkey branch to other men in case the main man dies. So you need to understand that from a psychological perspective and also understand that women are able to actually do that.
That's terrible. Means chances are you may already have met the next person who may take over when you're gone.
What I normally actually tell guys,
chances are,
if you die now, your wife is going to be with another man within a year. But that man already knows you right now. He knows you. You don't know him, but he knows you. If you are to die and then you woke up at 3 a.m., you rose up from your grave and went home at 3 a.m., that the person you'll find is someone that you know. Or rather, who knows you.
That calls for a moment of silence.
It does, and that's just a fact of life.
Let me read some of the comments here. Guys are saying hi. Robert Karanja is here, says great conversation. Patrick Omondi Onyango, he's locked. Dominic says nice to be here again. Francis Munuhe, I see you as well. Douglas Omasete, great to be here. Jay says good stuff. Viongozi. Wycliffe Susulo Pir says point taken. And Kevin Anyim is following closely. But he also asks, what do you make of women who date shamba boys? We're going to come there. And Miles says, thanks, and thanks, Jacob. Moses Kitau, I see you on Facebook, as well as Paul Nzioki and Salim. Good to have you here. Paul Njiru, glad to have you here, my guy. And Gerald Bitok says, nice one, guys. I'm watching live from Guangzhou, China. Gerald, angekuwa hapa Eldoret, angesema na watch from Eldoret kweli. Ndio watu wakienda ngambo ndio wanasemanga vitu kama hizi.
Yes, anataka kutushtua.
Utushtui boss.
Yeah. Yeah, so
this shamba boy question.
That shamba boy question, I want to answer it, but we also need to move. I can see time.
We need to move. Time is going, by the way. Oh, my goodness, it's 10 past.
So, it depends.
Yeah.
Women go through what we call a sexual maturation cycle. Like a woman, a cougar, a woman who is past late 30s into her 40s. Normally, women reach the cougar stage, which we call a rediscovery phase, where they are rediscovering their party years. And at that time, women become very sexually active or even promiscuous. And women like those can actually date shamba boys because at that time, what they want is the horizontal activity. They don't care about this man's ability to provide and his status and so on. So it will depend. And I think a woman who would be engaging in that is a woman who is just looking for the sex. So you just need to understand that. And I think it's something I've explained in Unplugged. The other thing that men don't know, which is a secret that women have and many men don't seem to know, particularly men who are friend-zoned, is that hypergamy does not care about relational equity. And this is what this means. You know, you can find a woman who's a single mother. Okay, she got divorced, particularly the ones who got divorced. And you find a man who steps in, he says, I'm going to play stepdad for these kids. I'm going to take care of you. I'll even do a church wedding for you so that in front of your peers, you get the validation that, you know, I've got a man. And the ones who thought that nimeishiwa, nimepata mwanaume.
Hapa ni wapi?
Yes, hapa ni wapi sasa. So many men go into those relationships thinking that if you give her this kind of lifestyle, this woman will love you and is going to actually honor you and be with you in the long term. What normally happens is that the men who do this, in case you run into trouble, maybe you lose your job or your business goes into trouble and you're no longer able to provide for her, then she kicks you out. And most men are surprised that I've done so much for this woman. Nimemwoana kuna watoto hata si wangu. Nimemtoa huku Mathare, nimempeleka Kileleshwa. I've given a very nice house. Nimemtengenezea mama yake nyumba, hata nimemtengenezea nini. And this guy doesn't understand. So guys need to understand that hypergamy does not care about relational equity.
You remind me of that gentleman, the one who was on Twitter. You saw how he lamented.
Oh yeah, that young boy. Yes. So those are examples. Even the Kalenjin fellow, the young boy also who was a watchman. And
that's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
The one who murdered and
yes, then he took his own himself. Life. Yeah. Yes. So those are things that men don't know. And many women know this. And when the reason you know women know this, when their brother is involved or their son is involved, you will see how they intervene. But when they're discussing on social media among the sisterhood, they don't care. They'll tell you, where you take care of the children. Why you want to have this woman but not take care of the children? Why don't you do that? But when it's a brother or a son involved, these women are going to say no.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen too. Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that because then they're also quick to identify that woman who is taking advantage.
Yes.
And they can see them a mile off.
They can.
But it's very difficult when it's a friend or somebody just passing through. Maybe it's easier for us to bash each other.
Or if you're talking on social media, they'll defend that woman. In fact, they'll tell this man is irresponsible, he's selfish, and so on. Yeah, so that is what happens. And this is a secret that guys need to know that the fact that you're investing in her does not mean that now you have an emotional investment from her. You're going to do all that, but when she's done with you, she'll just throw you out. So people need to understand the difference between being desirable and being attractive.
So do it expecting nothing or don't do it? Because should it, the other thing is we ask ourselves this question. Every time we do something for someone, must it be because we'll get something back?
The reason we do it is this. It's an investment. You're supposed to think like a businessman. And this is a problem men have. Women think about relationships like business. Men think about relationships in a romantic way, and that's where we fail. You're supposed to think like a business. So for example, when you're just doing things for a woman and it is one way, she's receiving. Umetengenezea mamake, amesema asante, yaki wewe ni mzuri, I thank God for you, you are the best blessing I ever had. Anakuambia hivyo, you're getting nothing in return. Unaona? You do something for her, she's just accepting. That is now what we call simping. Simping means an unequal exchange of value. You must be in a situation where she is also reciprocating. That is when you invest further. But if you're investing further and further and further again, thinking that she is going to have a moral sense to feel that she owes you, many men fail that way. Women don't operate like that. Women are very, very practical. If she figures that you've run out of your shelf life and you're no longer able to provide value to her, she's going to kick you out. because women prioritize survival. Women are not romantic, and that's why even in during Valentine, it is men who are supposed to do romantic things. Women are not supposed to be romantic. So when men are becoming romantic, they go too far. They forget to think practically. But women are always thinking practically. So that is what guys need to know. We normally talk about what we call economic refugees. You find a situation where a man who has worked so hard and made himself rich, he gets a woman, he plucks a woman out of poverty. You know? This woman has nothing, her parents have nothing. Unajengea wazazi wake, unasomesha ndugu zake na madada zake, unamsomesha. Most of the times it ends very badly for these guys. Because these women are very, very practical. Hata kama ni mwanamke ambaye akupendi, she's going to accept all the things you're bringing. Her parents are going to really praise you. You are a nice young man. But once they feel they have extracted the value they wanted, they'll just move on. So guys need to be very, very careful. Don't get into a situation where you are becoming the United Nations in someone's life, or UNHCR. You are not the government. You're not people call it a refugee program or a feeding program. You need to get someone who is almost of equal value than you, so that there's reciprocity. You give something, you get something. You give something, get something. Think about relationships like a business.
But you see where emotions are involved, it's very difficult to see that. Do you see how many times guys are, really lamenting when this business that is a relationship goes down up in flames?
Yes, it's because they approached it.
I saw a video of a guy. I don't know if you saw that video of that guy. That guy who was on the hood of a car. Nimeona hata leo, I should have sent it to you. This car is driving and this man is on the bonnet and he's hanging on there, and the other guy is asking at you, what is going on here? And the guy shouts at you, she's my baby or something. He's trying to stop her from from driving away.
Yes. Now that one is something we talk about. It's there in Unplugged. Most of the times that is one-nighties. You know what one-nighties is? Yeah, so where someone thinks a woman is his soulmate. Like God created that woman for him. And in his mind, there's no other woman for him. So he's willing to die for her.
That's why I'm asking you, in terms of looking at it as a business, it's a very difficult and emotive issue. And you see, this is why guys are, taking their lives or, harming other people, their spouses, or doing some crazy stuff, because it's very difficult to look at your relationship from a business perspective as a guy. You look at it from a mostly emotional perspective.
Yes.
And they run high. And even when you say these things, Aliet, so many men are listening to this are not really going to apply it.
It is okay.
In a sense. No, not going to sit down and actively apply it. It's almost like...
Yes, I understand.
They would like to, but the emotion is so much in the way. So what do you do?
So you see now, that's where we come in. Those are the guys we need to help. Because you see, everything has a consequence. You can continue. No one is going to force you to start thinking like a businessman. If you want to continue being emotional, just continue being emotional. You're going to get the harvest and get the outcomes that are going to come. But the important thing to remember is that women are very practical. And that's why they are hypergamous. A woman is hypergamous because she is going to get into a relationship with a man who has something to offer her. She's not going to get into a relationship with a man who has nothing to offer. But men are romantic. That's why a man who is a CEO is going to marry a waitress who has nothing and bring her up. But you're not going to find a woman who is a CEO marrying a bartender or a border fellow or a watchman. She's going to look for a man who actually has more money than herself. So women think very, very practically. And men need to start doing this. If you do not do this, you're going to keep harvesting premium tears. So men need to start being very, very practical and start thinking about their relationships like business. And this is why you have in the West, and you'll find most relationships of people who are rich and financially stable. Statistically, the divorce rates are normally lower in the higher income levels of the society than the lower income levels. Because those guys, when they're marrying, they think of marriages like the merging of business empires. You see, like Jay-Z and Beyonce, they've also had cases where there is cheating and abuse involved. But those guys know there's much more at stake than their emotions. Even the Clintons, we had all those cases of Monica Lewinsky and so on. But these guys are able to see the bigger picture. But now people at these lower levels, they think emotionally, and that's why they lose. So guys need to start thinking very, very practically and think about relationships like a business.
Yeah, one more thing before you say the next thing. Where did the rain start beating us? This was not a problem so much for our grandfathers.
That's a very good question. Okay, it was there, but it was not widespread.
It was not like this, yeah.
It was not widespread because I remember the story of this woman. What was that woman called? This very famous song of the woman who went abroad.
Huyo ni alikuwa anaitwa Pamela.
Is it Pamela? Ule alienda, the guy going to pick her at the airport, akatoka na mtoto wa Chinese.
Alikuwa anaitwa Stella.
Stella. You see that story of Stella? Unajua history ya Stella ni haipagami basically. That woman went and she found better men out there and she decided to move on. And this guy thought, because he invested in that woman emotionally, she's going to remain faithful to him. So it was there, but it was widespread. Now, it is much more widespread because women have become empowered. And because they're empowered, they are able to cover themselves from the consequences of their action. They have their money. The government provides them with security. You cannot become violent towards them. They can own property. And women are no longer ashamed because they are divorced or because they are single mothers. So they are able to express female nature in a very unfettered fashion. So that is why it's becoming much, much widespread. Actually, our friend Silas normally says that our generation is the first generation of men that is dealing with a truly empowered woman. So that's why now it's becoming much, much widespread. Yeah. So the stigma and the shame that was there that kept women in check, it is no longer there. So now, sasa ni kaende.
Wow. Our time is going. Let me rush you through that. We might not get to this thing. Tutaendelea too. But
yes. We'll just add maybe one more.
Add one more,
then you can deal with the questions. Another thing that most men don't know, and women know, is that women spin more plates than men, whether they're in relationships or outside of relationships. We are normally told, and it's generally accepted, that men cheat more than women. But between the ages of 18 and 25, women cheat just as much as men cheat. In terms of statistics, they're in a dead heat at that particular stage. And also women tend to cheat more when they're ovulating than when they're not ovulating, because during the ovulation is when most women, they're restless and they're looking for the alpha. And in most cases, that is when actually many women, when they step out, they get pregnant with another man's seed, and they come home and they tell you that they are actually pregnant with your child. So many men need to know this because the society and the Western media and movies like Hollywood and romance novels. You see, if you look at a movie like Waiting to Exhale and how Stella got her groove back, most cases, those movies portray men as the villains. So men grow up thinking that in relationships and in marriages, the men are the villains. But in reality, women also spin these plates. These women tell their girlfriends. Their girlfriends actually know, in many cases, that so-and-so is sleeping with so-and-so and is having this number of boyfriends, and that so-and-so, he told the husband that they are going to see their mother on Saturday, but he is actually going to Nakuru to see the boyfriend. Many times women know this. But many cases, men, because of our bringing, we think we are the bad ones. We give the women a lot of benefit of doubt. And that's why men also fail paternity tests. But women, because they have evolved to look for security, in many cases, they want to be able to spin plates and have more than one option. So when they're younger, they talk about akona mtu wa salon, akona mtu wa stima, akona mtu wa nywele, mtu wa kumafuta. So they sleep with many men who take care of various aspects of their lifestyle. In many cases, it continues even into marriage and so on. They don't stop because of the reward mechanism and the addiction that comes with having easy money, and the way many men are also easy to exploit when they have a female on the other end of the bargaining table. So many women tend to keep up because many men are simps and many men are beta males. They're easy to manipulate. So you will tell she can easily tell you, nisaidia hapo na 5k nitakurudishia. Unatuma hiyo 5k hatarudisha. And you, because you are proud, you are a man, you don't want to show her that 5k ni kitu tunafuatilia sana. Inaenda hivyo. Next time, anaomba ingine, hivyo. So she has a circle of friends who are in the friend zone. And sometimes even these guys can get to smash, depending on how the husband is a performer. she'll keep all these guys around and keep the money coming around. So now what normally happens when I say something like this, just to mention this, so instead of addressing what I'm saying, women will say, this guy is hurt, he's bitter, he's a narcissist. What kind of women has this guy come across? He's met the wrong women and so on. So just to address that, this is something that many men have shared in the manosphere, and it's something that many men have seen. And even if you Google right now on the internet, we have so many men who've been in stable marriages, but downstream they realize that they're raising kids who are not theirs and so on and so forth. So men need to be aware that women are capable of this. That is the point.
Yeah, maybe what women want to hear you say sometimes.
They're capable of it. It doesn't mean all the women are doing it, but you need to know that they are capable of it.
Yeah, it seems it presents two problems. I think problem number one is the issue of knowledge before the act. Too many of us don't go beyond the pretty face and the nice talk in terms of finding out who you're getting with into marriage. And too many of us are marrying, the trophy woman. The one our guy will be like, man, look at that one. Mazuli pata kitu. And that gets us into some problems. But also there's a dilemma that presents itself, the same dilemma that was for, the issue of stability, whereby if you do end up with a woman who's, quote unquote fishy, where do you draw the line between you finding out and making sure you're not being, told these cock and bull stories of sijui Nakuru wapi wapi, and you becoming that guy who follows her everywhere, like like you're just this insecure man who's always checking, leta simu, leta nini, niambie umetoka wapi, you now become the extreme, insecure individual. Where do you draw the line and keep yourself and your emotions in check? Because some people will follow, mama is leaving the house, she's going to a chamama, the guy is following with a car, he'll go sit in the parking lot there, he'll wait for her. He'll make sure that he's double checking everything she's doing. He's basically driving himself crazy and never having any peace of mind. Yeah.
There, my answer normally, I have many guys disagree with me. What you're saying when you're talking about looking into a woman's phone or tracking her movements, or just trying to make sure that she's not playing games. That's what we call mate guarding. You're guarding your mate. And it's a natural instinct many men have when they suspect that the woman could actually step out. So it is natural. However, there are two things. First of all, you need to vet the woman that you're going to get involved with. So if she's a woman who's been spinning plates like that, or she's had a lot of relationships that have failed, in all likelihood, she's going to do that. That one you have to know. Now, what you'll do about that is your own problem. Secondly, many men must also know that when you are tracking or you're monitoring your woman, you're projecting insecurity. When you want to find out all the time where she is, who she is with, who she's talking to, that is projecting insecurity and it's projecting low value. It also means that you're operating from a point of scarcity. So what I normally tell guys is that, and this is something I said in Lynn Googie's show, the business of a man is to take care of his business. Okay? What you need to do is to be situationally aware. Because I normally say all lies lead to the truth. You can just be situational. I just watch the way she's behaving, because don't listen to what she says. Watch the way she's behaving. Look at her behaviors in terms of how she's handling her phone. If she's telling you she went to see their mother, you can actually make a point of finding out from the mother whether she went there. Of course, in a clever, you don't ask her, nani alikuja, nani aliniambia nakuja. No, you don't become stupid about it. You can find out through various ways, even through the brothers, without even anyone knowing that you're finding out. And you will know what the truth is. Don't ask her. Ukwe mjanja. Don't ask her. Don't confront her. Even look at her behavior in terms of sexually in bed. How is she behaving and so on. And you'll be able to tell. Guys need to be situationally aware. Once you have the knowledge, then you'll be able to look for the telltale signs. But what I tell guys, the biggest investment you can make is investing in yourself. Don't invest in being the DCI for your wife that you want to track where your wife is moving. Invest in yourself. Be a man of high value, level up. That's the best way of spending your time. And that's why I tell guys, mind your own business. When you do that, your woman is going to be invested in being with you. And if she doesn't do that, you'll be in a position to easily replace her. So ultimately, the biggest priority in your life should be your own purpose or your own business, not tracking your wife and her movements and so on. If you're situationally aware, you'll be able to pick these things.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're out of time, but we have to do questions, Aliet. Questions are coming. And let's see, where do we start? Let me start with this gentleman called Jay, who says, how do you handle a situation where a girlfriend gets pregnant against your will? I don't know whether he means by him or but I'm guessing it's by him. Gets pregnant against your will.
Okay, I don't know what it means, because a girlfriend and not a wife is not even your responsibility. I don't even know why that is your problem.
I think I'm imagining anongeile wase usemati wode mali trap na ball.
Oh, okay. The world has changed. In the past, you'd have to take responsibility. Right now, you still have to take responsibility, but now you can co-parent. Now it depends. She could have made a poor choice in terms of maybe she is insecure, she thinks she'll lose you, and so she gets pregnant. But what it does is it points to a very negative characteristic on her part. It means she's a woman who wants to take the leadership in the relationship. So, but the guy also has to take responsibility. How did she get pregnant? Why weren't you using protection if you didn't want her to get pregnant? So I don't think it's possible to just blame the woman in this particular case, unless she lied to you that she's on birth control, but she is not. In any case, that is dishonesty, that is deception. So if you want to be the woman who lies to you in the long term, I think that's a decision.
Yeah, but don't you think like men should also step further into that conversation, especially about birth control? When you say, we're on birth control, so you don't even know what the woman is on. She's the one who's going to see the doctor. She's the one who's taking the yani you. Ushaambiwa. Your job is just to be told, we're on birth control, you're like tick. Shouldn't we do more in terms of...
Yeah, you need to do more as a man. And this is why it's important to be aware as a man, because many times men are dick-driven. When they get opportunity, they just want to go in. They don't want to ask questions and think about it. So if you're doing that, you must be ready to deal with consequences like this, because birth control should also be your responsibility as a man. If you feel that you don't want to have a child, wear protection. Don't rely on this woman expecting her to take care of that business and then start blaming her. Because when you're doing that, you've lost control. You're giving up the control to the woman. So you cannot be angry that the outcome is not what you want. If you want the outcomes that you want, stay in control.
It's easier to find out about birth control than it is to raise a baby.
Yeah.
I can tell you that. Francis Munuhe says, the locked car analogy and women keeping men around sank. The most important bit is that a man says no to your woman once and for all without having to explain yourself. Somebody else says, Mike Jewett says, I don't know this particular one. What's your current trend from Kemunto's confessions? I don't know.
I don't know which Kemunto's confession. Maybe he should further clarify, because
he should clarify. Is that his
I don't know who Di Kemunto is.
His neighbor or someone? Okay. Eddie Kahura asked, what is the stability for a man in black and white? And is sex the ultimate gratification for a man?
Okay, let's start with the first one. Let's talk about financial stability.
I believe so. You know that it really disturbs. Many guys, but I think
it
really
levels.
Disturbs, you know.
It is levels. And guys need to... What most young men need to realize is that it takes time. And, I've seen guys who are in their 20s or 30s, and they feel challenged to see maybe where I am financially.
The pressure is real, Aliet.
Yeah, but you need to know that it takes time. It takes time. Generally, being rich or financially stable does not happen overnight. So guys need to realize that. And that pressure is what makes guys get into wrong things, and they lose their lives. They get killed because they scammed somebody. They got involved with some dirty people, politicians, and they got killed. So guys need to realize it takes time, but there's a way. There's a way to get there, through saving, through investment, through being financially literate, through hard work, and so on. I have TikTok videos that talk about finances. If those who look for Unplugged VIP, that's my handle on TikTok. This guy talks about, the guy asking about the ultimate gratification.
Is it the ultimate gratification? Is it just about...
First of all, the word gratification itself means it's a cheap thing. You know, gratification is like pleasure. It's supposed to be temporary. It's supposed to be very superficial. Gratifying. Gratifying, it's like it implies you're taking care of a need or an itch that is urgent. That is called gratification. So, but in terms of what I will talk about, I prefer to talk about fulfillment in life. You know, even when you get a very good performance, if you are someone who's a spectator, you watch spectator sports and your team does well, that is gratifying.
True.
Or your children perform well in school in a certain term, that is gratifying. Or maybe you're hungry and you've had a very nice meal and you feel gratified, things like that. But I talk about this in Unplugged, where I talk about men need to look for, we need to be pleasure makers, not just pleasure seekers. And pleasure making means you set goals and you achieve them. When you achieve goals in life, then you create pleasure for both yourself and for people around yourself. And when you do that, then you have what we call a fulfilling life. That's what leads actually to prosperity. So guys need to think about making impact, not just deriving pleasure. Where you solve problems in the universe and you make a dent in the universe. You find the problems around you where you live, in your country, in your village, and so on, and you solve it. And that is how you get a gratification that we could call ultimate. In terms of being biological beings or organisms, sex is a major driving force for us. We normally say that the world as we know it was created by men. But men created it because of sex or because of women. Because that is normally the reward of being a performer in any kind of community. When you are a performer, when you're a man of status, when you're a man of influence, then you have a very great access to sex. That's why guys like Tiger Woods had a lot of problem with women and in his marriages. Because when he was performing at that particular level, a lot of women made themselves available to him. And that's why we normally say that a man is as faithful as his options. The more a man works hard and achieves success in the universe, the more difficult it becomes for them to actually remain faithful, because women are going to come for that particular man. Women are drawn by value and by status and by performance.
And they come from every Aliet.
Yeah.
Even in church, even good speakers.
Everywhere.
Even, it's so amazing. Even in places where you think that they would see this person is married and is happy, they still come.
They will come.
They still test. Because all of them are looking for that guy who has got something. So it's quite something. I'm saying a man is only as faithful as options.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I'm going to rush you through the several questions. Our Chinese guy is saying, how can men remain aware of any cunning nature? I think he's trying to make sure, how will you have the radar? When should your alarm start going off? Doot, doot.
You'll see. I think most men, I think we like to bury our heads in the sand. And also many men, when we see the changes in behavior, because we normally see them, we either ignore them or we lie to ourselves that no, what you've seen is not true what you're seeing. But you're actually just seeing them. So I think it's normally very important for us to understand and accept female nature. Once you've done that, then when you see it happening, you'll accept it. Because you see what normally happens with us, there's some what we call cognitive dissonance. You've been told that it is only men who cheat. So when you find your woman behaving in a certain manner, very secretive, disappearing, and so on, and then you ask her, and then she tells you, no, you're just imagining things. Then you think, by the way, maybe I'm just imagining things. Because even in your background knowledge does not have women cheating. So it's difficult for you to reconcile what you're witnessing with what you already know. So guys need to understand female nature. That will help them to be able to detect when things are actually going wrong. Yeah.
I think for me, I always think it's very difficult for women to hide the way they look when they are cheating. They always put in some effort.
Yeah. There are small things.
Into their look.
Yeah.
A new thing happens.
Their looks, and even the way they talk, covering their mouths, when they're lying, the gestures, eye movement, body movement, even the behaviors, the way they become very defensive. There are things what we call, there's gaslighting. We talk about gaslighting. where there's something called blame shifting, where you ask someone, where did you go yesterday? Or where were you at 10? Then they, instead of answering the question, they tell you, now you don't trust me. Why are you asking me such a question? They don't answer the question. They switch it immediately. That will also tell you that she's hiding something. She's not straightforward. So, but women are very good at manipulation. And the problem, what more normally compromises men, is they're afraid of losing the pussy. So they don't pursue the matter. Inageuza, the blame is shifted and they let it go, because downstream utanyimwa. So a guy just leaves it, but he knows that hapa nimechezwa, but he doesn't want to pursue it further because he doesn't want to lose what he's already getting.
And then also, surprisingly, I don't know whether you'd agree with this, I always think of it like there's this thing of hiding in plain sight, where someone you're dating is with me, and somehow I get introduced into your conversations. Oh no, like Levi said, you're Levi alikuwa ananiambia juzi.
Yes.
When you happen to know me,
that is a good point. That happens a lot.
And you agree with it, but it's in plain sight. I'm already.
That happens a lot. Yeah, and just to add to that, women are very, very emotional, and this is something that women normally think that they are very clever. When a woman is and something Silas said, that the guy she's cheating with normally gets a better deal than you. Even in terms of bed, the way the activity in bed is happening, that guy is given the best compared to you. So what happens with women being emotional, she'll start dropping his name. Consciously or subconsciously. Atakwambia, by the way, my friend told me this. Maybe there's something you guys were talking about. You're looking for a piece of land, or you want to move houses. And namwambia, hey, by the way, a friend of mine told me this, and I think this is a better idea. And normally that friend is normally a man. Okay? It could be a man that that is already a friend of yours, or a colleague of ours, or something like that. So, and that's there where the hiding in plain sight comes in. She'll just be mentioning this particular guy on and on and on. And you'll be able to know that this person is actually very, very close to her.
Give me his number. That's a good guy.
Yeah.
All right. There is another question here. Maswali zinaanza kupotea saizi, na this is the time we need them so much. All right. Someone says, comment on marrying a woman who I believe is a single mother with loose morals. What would be their key secrets? But I think Kevin yuko serious, because tumeongea kuhusu how do you get there in the first place.
Yeah. So it's like he's asking, how do you become how do you commit a crime without going to jail?
Let me jump his question. Buy the book, Kevin. Samuel Kimani, what's an ideal way to put financial abuse to a stop while salvaging a relationship?
Why do you need an ideal way? You don't need an ideal way. You just need to put it to a stop. It's like telling guys, asking, what is the ideal way of stopping to eat junk food? Just stop it.
I think that the suggestion, the way I see it, is that if he says no, the relationship will tank. So he wants to say no, but still save the relationship.
Okay, fine. So if this guy wants to negotiate it, what you can do is you can use a budget. Try to negotiate around the budget. Tell her, now, this is how much I'm earning, this is how much you'll be spending, this is how much you'll be saving. We have to secure our future. We can no longer continue spending like this. So tell her, this is ini ya kusave, ini ya chakula, ini rent, ini stima, ini kila kitu. Nawambia, this is how we're going to spend money. And you stick to that budget. That is how you do it. So, because most women will just come up with random things. I've lost my auntie. Everybody is contributing 20K. So, utanisaidia, mi nitatoa 5K, unipe top up ya 15. Things like that. Just random things that don't make sense. And many men comply. And I'm glad one of the guys one of my followers asked the wife, huyo kazini wako, mi nisipotoa pesa hata zikwa. He refused. He did not contribute any money. So sometimes you have to go Taliban. You have just become a hardcore. Because some of these things, and sometimes I've also seen cases where unaambiwa hata kukuwa na matanga. Nakwambia kuna matanga imetokea, nataka 20K. So you get that, or party imetokea, kuna birthday party tunaenda kesho. Wamesema watu wanavaa blue. I don't have a blue dress. And there's this very nice blue dress I've seen. It costs 15K. Unatoa 15K you didn't budget for because of a birthday party that has no return on investment. So those are just basic things.
Of a 1-year-old child.
Have a budget, stick to it.
All right. Omasete Douglas says, what's your advice for a 29-year-old guy struggling with no stable source of income with a baby mama pahali?
Now, this is the cases I've handled like this. Most of these guys is either drunkard or is very disorganized. And most of these guys cannot actually be advised. If you're already 29, you are broke, you have no income, you have a baby mama, you're already leading a life that is a mess. You have to change direction. If you're taking alcohol, stop taking that alcohol. If you have no source of income, you need to start changing how you spend your time. Because how you spend your time is what is going to determine whether you're going to have money or not. Money comes from work done. So if you have no skills, try to get, even if it's a laptop, start learning a certain skill. Nowadays, online, there are a lot of skills you can learn. You can learn graphic design. You can learn how to write. You can learn how to transcribe things. There's so many things you can learn. Stop spending your time maybe watching spectator sports or playing video games or pornography and so on. At that age of 29, you are a man who has very low level of skill. So get a skill, get some money, get some sort of direction in your life. If you're taking drugs, stop taking those drugs.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your life will not change.
Maybe I'll just add, I always tell guys, don't be afraid to start from the bottom. Maybe you're not a guy who is supposed to be a Mjengo guy, but guess what? If you go to a Mjengo for 2 days, you'll be thinking the entire time that you're carrying my ways. You will get out of that place.
Yeah.
If it was not where you are supposed to be, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 5. Sometimes you need discomfort to bring ideas into your head. And the discomfort of just being unemployed aitoshi. Because so many people are unemployed maybe you're sitting with other unemployed guys and you're telling each other kuna job na hawa mama wanatutesa na wanataka sijui chakula ya mtoto nini. What you're forming is a support group. So it gives you some comfort.
Yeah.
But you need a discomfort. A rough one.
Absolutely. Most of the guys who are complaining about this, they don't have... Kevin Samuel used to say that it's because they don't have enough problems. When you have enough problems, then it actually sobers you up and you're able to focus on the things that are important. Yeah.
What does somebody say here? Okay, let me look here. I think we talked about stability and gratification. Maurice Ouma says, I'm watching this on my PC on loudspeaker and this woman has suddenly frowned. I'm sure she has even heard us on the speakers. So choma. To control a woman or rather a human being is kind of tricky. What men need to do is focus on self-betterment. That's Alba.
Yeah.
I think we're going to end on that note. What do you have to say about that?
I agree with that. That's what I was saying. The job of a man is to focus on his own business. Prioritize your own development. Increase your value. That is most important compared to whether your woman or your wife is cheating on you. Just focus on yourself. And guys need to know that in the long term, you're the one who's going to have the last laugh, but only if you put yourself first. So put yourself first, prioritize your purpose, and spend your time increasing your value, and you'll never regret. They normally say that you can lose money chasing women, but you can never lose women chasing money. So prioritize your value, prioritize improving yourself, and all these other women issues are just going to vanish, and you're going to find that you're living a life of abundance.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's one question here that we must take just before we go. It's by a guy called Joel. He says, how can you help a man friend who has been heartbroken and now he's quite desperate in a way? He has been blocked everywhere by the lady, but he's pushing a lot. He's even now texting the father-in-law pointing out that he has issues with the lady. Mind you, he's 41 years old. How do you help that guy?
He needs to read Unplugged. And the challenge also with men is a man like that he does not know who he is. He thinks that having a woman in his life is what is going to make him have a good life. And he thinks that his life is defined or determined by the presence of this particular woman. He does not realize that the quality of life that he leads is entirely up to him. It falls squarely on his shoulders. So this guy needs to understand what it means to be a man. He also needs to understand that a man is someone that is born without value. He needs to make himself valuable and live a life of abundance. Right now, he's operating from scarcity. That is why he's chasing this woman who is no longer interested in him. And he is actually placing the burden of making himself happy on this particular woman. And that burden, that responsibility is his own. He needs to wake up. He needs to unplug from unrealistic notions and the comforting lies and face the cold, hard truths. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Aliet. Any parting shot for tonight?
Yeah, so the main thing is guys need to prioritize themselves, take up the burden of performance, and make yourself your mental point of origin at all times.
Jacob Aliet, author of the books Unplugged, as well as 11 others. You might want to go check them out, available at Nuria, or you can actually look for him. You said it's TikTok will say it's Unplugged what?
Unplugged VIP. I also have a YouTube channel, Unplugged VIP. I'll probably start getting serious this year.
Yeah.
I've been sleeping on it, but I think I have now more than 1,000 subscribers. I'll probably become serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unaona tu amesema siku hizi unafinya computer unapata $1.
Yes. We'll try it.
Finya tuone. Yeah, my name is Levi Kones. You can find my book somewhere near Aliet. Ukishanunua zake, unapita hapo unauliza. There is no useless experience 1 and 2. We really appreciate this platform. Men only. We'll be coming to you every Sunday. I'm not so sure about next Sunday. It's Easter.
Yeah. Next Sunday, maybe we'll communicate.
But if we're not here next Sunday, we'll be there Sunday after that and Sunday after next. There's still a lot on the series of Unpacking Women's Secrets, and we'll be continuing more when we come back on the very same. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you. Good night. See you next time.